I binged this entire show over the course of a couple days while recovering from surgery, so I hope that helps to set the stage for what the rest of this video is going to look like. Welcome back to the Max Reality. If you've seen my face before, then you know the drill, but if you're new here, I love talking all things reality TV, and today we are talking about Netflix's Perfect Match Season 2. As you can see from what the title is, this isn't going to be like some of my other videos where I'm doing like a full in-depth breakdown of it, because as I said in the beginning, I binged this show while being like mostly with it. So I'm just mostly giving thoughts, feelings, opinions I had. If you want a good full breakdown of all the episodes review, I'm going to link one of my favorite YouTube channels up here that did reviews of the actual episodes. I watched it to give myself a little refresher before filming this because I wasn't willing to watch it again, which we'll get to. So the very first thing I have to say about anything is I am so happy that I just binged this show instead of watching it real time with everybody, because even though they don't release it over like weeks and weeks and weeks like other shows, because of how this season ended, if I had been waiting to find out and the way it ended was how it ended, I would have been so mad. Don't get me wrong, I was already upset. I was like emotional, I did not like it, but it was easier to kind of be upset about and let go of when you just like binged it and kind of threw it away versus had been excited about it. So that's for one. If you haven't seen it yet, I will say binging it will probably be a better experience than if you have watched it live. What was fun about watching the YouTube channel I mentioned earlier go through the review is they review a couple episodes at a time. So you're getting their opinions before they've seen all of it once you've seen all of that, if you have seen it and are watching that, and just sitting there like, no, why do you feel that way? Why do you think that way? Because, in case it wasn't clear, this isn't going to be a spoiler-free video. I just am waiting to talk more about the end toward the end, so if you haven't seen it and don't want to be spoiled, this is not the video for you. Go watch it, save this video, come back, and then we can rant together. I think before I start getting into beefs I have with this season, I will give the one thing I liked, which I felt like the casting was pretty strong. Casting was good, fun people to watch. That is the good point I have for Netflix. So beef number one, I should not count these beefs. I'm gonna lose count. But to start out with, and this isn't isolated to Perfect Match. This is a general beef I have with the Netflix reality world, like Love is Blind, this show, other ones, is filming. They will film something and then take over a year to give it to us. So by the time we've seen it, it kind of has like lost that juice, that you get from a show that is not that far removed. Like, they said, it's been over a year, I'm pretty sure, is what people were saying when they filmed that. So now, like, the reality people are coming out with their tea, but in my personal opinion, it just doesn't have that same, as like when you're watching Bachelor in Paradise, and maybe it was months ago, but not a whole year. Like, people move, like, their lives change in over a year, and I'm so tired of Netflix doing this. I don't know why. I would love somebody from Netflix to give the explanation, because other reality shows aren't doing it. So why do you think you should do this? I hate it. That's one of my big beefs with the Netflix reality shows, is like, yeah, like, it's been a year. Of course none of these people are together. Like, oh, spoiler, I'm just kidding. But, I mean, that was expected. When I was watching this, I had already known that they had filmed a while ago. So I personally went in with the low expectations that no one was going to be together. Because also, nobody's together from last season of Perfect Match, I'm pretty sure. So my expectations were on the floor for this show. That was the other reason I didn't start it until I just decided to binge all of it. Because, no offense, but season one wasn't all that great. So I wasn't like super hyped for season 2. The only thing making me hyped for season 2 was people in the cast. That was the only thing that made me even watch this show at all. And the fact that I was stuck on the couch and could not move. It took that for me to be like, okay, I'll watch it now. Since we're on the topic of casting, we have to talk about one of my main draws for this show, which was Tolu from Netflix's The Trust. If you didn't watch The Trust, I do recommend it. It was a fun time, and Tolu was a great part of it. But the thing I want to talk about with her is the fact that nobody could pronounce her name. Nobody was getting her name right. And I might be making that up. We might not have seen her correct anyone. But she has said she corrected people, and I'm sure she had to correct people so many times. And just, like, so many people could not get it right. And I was losing my absolute mind. There was a moment when I was watching the show, because of the state of mind I was in, that I was like, I'm wrong. I don't know how to pronounce her name, because some of these people are saying it so confidently wrong that I must be wrong. She even has made like a couple TikToks talking about it. I'll link it below. She has a great one where she talks about like the story of her name and like the meaning to her tribe in Africa and like all of that. Very informative, very great. Cannot figure out. I don't feel like it's not hard. It's not, I get getting it wrong like once or twice, but then when you are confidently saying it, just like like somebody was like, Tulu, what? That was one of the hardest parts about watching the show. I wanted to jump through the screen. Keeping in the same theme of casting, I feel like Netflix, we all told you when you started Love is Blind that we really liked the idea of taking people who all live in the same area because it tends to increase the likelihood that they might be able to stay together. And I get for Perfect Match, we can't really do a place like, I mean, they probably could do a place like LA maybe, but I feel like Netflix has the money to give us a Perfect Match USA and a Perfect Match UK. I personally think they could do it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't like, that was the other thing making it just so, like, dumb to watch. I'm just like, this person in their early 20s is not going to stay long distance with this random person from London they've known for, like, 4 weeks or whatever it is. Like, be for real. Like, I already hardly believe it with shows like Bachelor in Paradise where they live across the country from each other, but when they live across the ocean from each other, be real. And I know long distance relationships happen, but that was part of it that also was just like, come on now, guys. Come on. And I think they did that last season too, but I still don't like it. I don't like it. That's how I feel about it. This is my rant, and those are my feelings. And I'm pretty sure the last grievance I have in the areas of casting when it comes to this show is make it gayer. Do it, Netflix. That was what I wrote a note here that just said, make Perfect Match gay. Make it gayer. They did it a little last season, and like it was like this season they did not even want to mess with it. One of the girls, I cannot remember who now, is bi and brought that up, but it was not explored whatsoever. And Netflix, come on. You have all of the Ultimatum queer love cast. What you have the people. I know you do. You can make that show fruitier. Do it now. It's like, and I don't think they need to make this too much. They don't need to make a gay one. It's not hard, in my personal opinion, as somebody who's watched like Are You the One, where they did the fluid season. There's ways to do it when it's a big group of people dating. It does not have to stay in this weird dynamic of like men, women. It doesn't have to, and I think it makes the show more fun when you are able to open it up. Because I will say, I did like season 1 more than I liked this season, and maybe that's part of why. I never rewatched season 1, so I'm really talking from like rose-colored glasses memory. And I didn't make any video about it because I wasn't really making videos then. But from what I can remember, I liked that season more, I think. Sometimes it really feels like Netflix just like threw us the bone with Ultimatum Queer Love, and they were like, that's it. That's all you get. That's all you get. I mean, it hasn't been forever, I guess. It feels like it since they did that show, but I just don't feel like we've gotten any news of anything even kind of similar. And it's like, I'm waiting. Now we're going to move into more of the actual game mechanics of the show and my beefs with them. Maybe it shouldn't be my rant. It should just be my beefs with Perfect Match, because we'll start off with something that I really actually is almost a compliment. No, it is a compliment. I think the structure of Perfect Match is pretty good. It's interesting. It's a little different. But it's kind of in a place for at least me personally where it feels like it's good and it just needs a little bit more to be great. Some of the things, for example, I would say is I don't 100% think the boardroom is always working the way they want it to be working. I like the idea of it, but I'm not, I'm not a game maker. I'm not a TV producer. I'm just one little guy with an opinion about TV because I watch it too much. But there's just something lacking for me, especially as you continue the show on. I don't know if there's a way to like make it more of a group vote every now and then. I don't know. Something is just almost a little broken there, at least in my opinion. With all these rants and these opinions, I would love to hear y'all's opinion. Please tell me every thought and feeling you have about this, because I am just bottled up with wanting to talk about this with somebody. So if you have a different perspective about it, or if you have an idea, if you're in the same mindset of me of like it being broken, or if you think it's perfect, please let me know. I am dying to talk about this. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. And again, this just might be my personal opinion, but it just feels a little stale by the end. I do think what helped it a little was by the end, them doing it where it's not just 4 girls to pick from or 4 guys. I think it's a lot more interesting to watch when they have the choices of guys and girls. That's my personal opinion. I might personally want to see that all the way through. I think that would help a little bit, but I don't know. There's just something about that dynamic. The thing I will say, hey, another compliment, is I do like the fact that we have an elimination pretty much every day. I do like the rotating door of people coming in and out. But the flip side of that is, like this season, you kind of get into a rut in the middle of that rotating door is not really working anymore because they don't have to do it, if that makes any sense. They don't have to pair up with these new people, and once they get in that middle, I mean, people want to protect their reputation, or they actually like their partners, and it's like, unless we're forcing people in there, it's going to get a little stale. To give an example of, bringing people in, I think Casa Amor Love Island does a better job of this, because within Casa Amor, you don't have your partners. It's for an extended period of time versus just this one-off date, and then they have to bring the date back to the house where their current partner is. It's like, a lot of people have seen these reality shows now. A lot of people have this wherewithal to be like, oh, I don't want to be the person seen as just like jumping away from my partner. Also, people were very strategic for some reason this season. I got to the point where I thought there was like a cash prize or something. But no, it's just that couple's trip, because people were being so strategic. And so then that kind of ruins the effect of like having people come in and out. And when you're in a closed group like this versus something like Bachelor in Paradise, where for the most part, you go in and then once you're out for the most part, where this is that closed group where you can go in and out, you get to a point where you know who's all there. And for example, something I heard on the streets of TikTok is one of the girls, Christine, who didn't get in the house, the reasoning was because the guys had talked about it after they saw her picture and like made a pact to not bring her in for whatever reason that I don't know. That might not be true, who knows, but it is something that can happen when you're in that closed system. Like, nobody is surprised by that second time in the boardroom or third time or whatever when you're seeing the girls, because they've all talked about it. It's like, these are the people who were options, and I don't know. So something's broken. Something's broken in this whole thing. There's a lot of pieces that like really work, but they just need that to make this show what I personally think it could be. One small thing that I would like to see, and I think might help, would be having them all together for a longer period of time, or maybe controversially having them all there at the beginning instead of a small group. That could be interesting. Let them all have one big party the night before, and I don't really know how you would cull that down. Somebody can. We can figure that out. There's a way to do it. I don't know. Let them all mingle, send some people back. I think that could be interesting. More time of them really like all getting to mingle, I think could help the dynamics, because the way especially this season landed, where there were a couple people who really never got into the main house, it made the dynamic kind of weird, in my personal opinion. As y'all can see, I am riffing. I thought about it for a few more minutes, and I think a way you could do this is you have that first group of people come in, you have them all match up, and then the next night is a giant party with everybody, giving those people who are in the house the chance to switch if they want, but keeping it where it kind of was at the end, where they had everybody, where, you know, those people who were there in the beginning are the only people who are going to get to pick a match and make a match. I think that's the answer. I think that might be the answer, and I think it would cause a little drama. So you're welcome, Netflix. Free ideas. My next thing is about the games. I personally think they need work. I love that I'm saying that like I haven't been ragging on the show for however long now. Like, oh, awkward. But I don't know, like, they're fine. That's fine. The games are fine. There were a couple times where I kind of felt like they were overly complicating the rules and like the way they were structuring the game for no reason but to just make it seem like more intricate. But I just feel like they could be more fun to watch personally, and I would love more things about like actually getting to know people. I know they did a couple of the games like that, but especially in a show like this where you're really like going through it relatively quickly and people are switching partners, like I love get to know you games, things like that. I feel that was a smaller beef, because I think they're fine. You could not change the games, and I don't really think, you know, it's not something that's like really bringing the show down for me. But there were times where I was like, we could do better. We could do better. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, it's fine, but it could be good or great. So, and then as far as the finale goes, shockingly enough, structurally, I think the way the finale works is fine. This year, I feel like it became flawed, just because the outcome for a lot of people felt a little silly. If you didn't watch it, you're not planning to watch it, and you're sitting here like, please just tell me what happened. There was a couple that was together most of the season, and, you know, generally with shows like that, you'd be like, they're probably the ones who are going to win. Lots of people in the house liked them, yada, yada, yada. Instead, it went to a couple who had literally just matched. They both were people who hadn't gotten in the house a whole lot, and then when they finally got the opportunity, they matched. They'd been matched for like a day. And they won the whole show, which is kind of a letdown when you've been building up with all these things. But again, it's something I feel like could be fixed if you just figure out how to force more people in and out. Because again, this is alleged from the TikTok streets, but I heard part of the reason that couple won is because the people who were stuck in the like non-scene house, like we'll call them people who were stuck in the holding pool, were stuck there so long and had become friends, and eventually made a pact that if one of them was able to get to that final spot, they were all going to vote for him. The little collective group of people who'd been stuck in that holding pool. And I believe it, because it's like you're not even seeing what's going on with the people in the house. So why even vote for one of them? So, like, while this season showed flaws with the structure, I don't think it's a structure of how the finale works. I think it's a bigger issue with the things I was talking about earlier. So while I did not like the finale, I do think the way they do it is fine and makes sense. It's everybody gets a vote, you know, good times. That's how most of these kind of things end. But I think where the flaw comes is from what I'd already been talking about previously. Now that I've kind of gone over all my grievances with the structure of actually how the show works, I want to get into some favorite moments, things I thought were silly, all of that good stuff, more specifics about the cast. So if you haven't watched the show, I will do my best to kind of fill you in with stuff if I feel like you need it. But this is probably going to be more entertaining for you if you did watch the show. That is your warning right now. But, like, if you want to hang out, please do. One thing I loved was Tolu and Micah's friendship. Their friendship that formed over the show was so fun for me to watch because they are so much that energy of, like, golden retriever, black cat. It is so funny because Tolu, just the way she's, like, always hyping people up. And then versus how just Micah is as a person. She's just kind of cold. I don't think she means to be. It's just the way she is. I get it. I'm a Micah fan. Sorry if that's controversial. If you haven't heard me talk about this already, when I watch these reality shows, I really don't come away like actually hating anybody. I either really feel neutral about them or I enjoy watching them because, as I've said in the past, it's just a TV show. We're seeing a small little snippet of their life, snippet, whatever. We're not seeing like really who they are necessarily at the end of the day. And I know a lot of people didn't like Micah because of Love is Blind, but I thought she was great TV, so I love Micah. If you were watching and were also a fan of their friendship, I highly recommend going over to either of their TikToks. They have made some funny ones together. Just love it. Love the friendship. I'm so glad it continued past the show because they just seem like they seem like a perfect match. Honestly, they might not have found their perfect matches, but they did, truly and deep down. Another great part of the show was Izzy. Izzy, I just knew, the minute I saw Izzy was on this show, I was like, oh, sweet soul. No. I don't know. I mean, I get why he signed up. I don't know why they thought it would be a good idea, because he's just not made for it. He was made for Love is Blind. He was not made for this show. He even talks about it. He's been talking about it on TikTok or whatever. Remember when he was the oldest out of all of them? He's like 30, and all these people are like 23. And then my favorite thing with him was that, I think it was the very first night, he's talking to Micah and just being like, I follow you on TikTok, I like your dog, and she's just like rattling all these different things off about her. He is so awkward. I honestly wish we could have gotten more of him. I wish Tolu would have kept Izzy, but luckily, even though Izzy was not successful whatsoever on this show, he does have a longtime girlfriend that he's been dating for like a year, because again, this show filmed over a year ago, like to the point where, like, you know, I think he wants to put a ring on it. Like, he is a full girlfriend, so good for him. But this show is just not made for him, but I'm glad we got to see it. And, you know, I already said that was a big thing I liked about this show, is the cast. So I was really happy to see the majority of the people we saw. There was just a couple people I didn't know. I didn't watch that Surviving Paradise show, even though it is on my list. And now it is bumped up my list because I have a reason to watch it, because Justin was from that show. And then the other show I never watched was that Squid Games show. But other than that, I am pretty sure I had seen all of them. Some of the Too Hot to Handle people I only vaguely remembered, especially the later seasons. I was really in on Too Hot to Handle for the first couple seasons, and then those later ones was kind of like half in, half out. But overall, like Alora, bringing her from Dated and Related, I was so happy about that. She was so good for this. Just 10/10 casting. Most of my favorite moments are just getting to watch them more on my screen. And then there's Harry Jowsey. I knew from the moment that this man got cast that it was just gonna be so much nightmare fuel. But for it to be what it was with him and Melinda, actively, I had to calm down. I probably would have watched this show faster, but I knew for my health, I needed to be calm, and I wanted to come through that screen. After they had the little boys' day, where all the boys are with the girls that they're not matched with, whatever, and he was being all flirty with Melinda, I was already mad. I was mad from the jump. And then to have Melinda, while they're still at the boys' day, we're not even talking about when they're all together yet, still at the boys' day, to bring up the kiss, and him to immediately just be like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. My man looked so guilty. I don't know how people saw that and thought, yeah, that's an innocent man. That's how people act when they haven't done something. What? The minute Melinda said it, I believed it. Because, yeah, Harry being like, she's lying about it for her 15 minutes. My guy, she doesn't need that. I don't personally feel like Melinda would do that. And also, you're a known liar. So, like, why? Watching people defend him, crazy sauce. So then, we get into all of them being together, and Melinda saying this to Jess. And while I do feel like Melinda probably should have pulled her to the side, maybe not just have, like, announced it at the full table of people. I mean, if Melinda said that to me and I was Jess, I get being digmatized, but, like, everything else that has happened during this show, also the way he was acting when y'all got home last night, I would just believe Melinda. I personally think, as I did as a viewer. I did not need that footage they showed us. I'm glad they showed it because I think there are lots of people who were watching the show who probably would have been like, Melinda's lying for forever if they hadn't showed it to us. But I truly don't know how you saw this with your eyeballs and did not think that man was lying. Jess, I kind of give a pass to. I get it. We've all been there where we're like, no, Daddy, I love him, or whatever. But for the other people, for anybody else, or especially people watching, because being in the moment, I'll give a minor, like, 1% pass to the people living it, because they're not getting all the camera angles, blah, 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 blah. But if you're watching it and you didn't believe Melinda, wild. Think about your choices. Think about your life a little. And then the audacity for Harry to go to the producers and be like, did you get any footage of that? Don't air that. And to think they weren't going to air it, wild. Like, I get it. He was like the big name for this season for other people, not for me. He was not the draw for me. Sorry. Melinda and Tolu were way bigger draws for me. Anyway, but that's just the hubris of it. Incredible. I am so thankful to the producers, the editors, anybody who helped to bring those moments to us. Bless you. Thank you for giving Melinda that satisfaction to be like, I told y'all so. Because she deserved it. Because she deserves it. And honestly, bring her back for more. I've been saying it since she was in Too Hot to Handle. She's the reason I watched Dated. I watched Dated and Related solely because Melinda was hosting it. She is part of why I wanted to watch Perfect Match. She was in that grouping of people that drew me in. Put her in something else. I was so mad that we barely saw her. Give her back. Give her back and give her something good. She deserves it. That was a completely kind of separate rant, but it stands. It's my feeling. If I had to put this show in one of my tiers that I used for my 2023 roundup video of all the reality shows I watched last year, I would put it in or great to watch while you're doing something else. I think this show would have been better for me if I hadn't been stuck on my couch, forced to do nothing but watch it, sort of. Honestly, if I had to just make an opinion off of emotion the minute I had finished the show, it would be in cancel it immediately. But I've grown. I've had a couple days, like about a week and a half since I watched it. It can't hurt me anymore. And I do see the parts that I did like about it and do think there is hope for. So it's on thin ice in the fun to watch while doing something else, and really should probably be in the That's the final verdict about Perfect Match Season 2. And I think I have officially given you all my grievances, the things I liked about Perfect Match Season 2. As I was saying earlier, I would love to hear any thoughts, feelings, opinions, comments about Perfect Match, especially Season 2 versus Season 1, or just anything you liked or disliked about Season 2. I've been dying to talk about this show with somebody, but like nobody in my immediate life is really watching it because they have a real life versus me. So I'd love to talk about it with all of y'all in the comment section down below. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Don't forget to give the video a like, and if you've had fun, maybe check out some of my other videos, subscribe to the channel, and until then, I'll see y'all in the next one.